folks. Welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
And I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by Monstroko brand face cream, the only cream made from 100% USDA prime ground up American faces. Put some face on your face for more face. Face cream by Monstroko. What the fuck?
You know, I got some of that for my aunt last Christmas. She
Yeah?
tripled her face in a month.
Dude, I've seen her face on Facebook.
So much face.
Wild. And Facebook is getting into this, and they have groups for faces on faces and people who are trying to grow their faces using face cream. You know, you do you. If you want a thick, chitinous, gigantic, wide face, this is the one to feed your face. Give your face cream. Face needs more face to become more face.
I think I might
If you're familiar with Doctor Who Season 3, The Face of Bo, that's thanks to Monstroko.
Monstroko brand face cream. Not to be taken internally, it says.
Oh, you don't want faces on the inside. That's That's
I don't know
bad.
why anybody would do this. Guys, can I go first this week?
Please, I will pass you the skull.
Give me the skull. Bring to me the skull. Ah, here it is. It's here. It's nibbling on my sneakers. Get out of there, you. I want to talk about Cadborosaurus.
Cadborosaurus? Is that one
I'm
of
talking
them?
about Cadborosaurus lexii.
No, the Cadborosaurus is the Easter Bunny dinosaur.
Now, this is a sea serpent from the folklore in the regions of the Pacific coast of North America, Cadboro Bay, Greater Victoria, British Columbia. We're talking about Cadboro Bay is in the southern tip of Vancouver Island. This is a sea serpent that has been sighted for many, many years, hundreds of years. Well, sneaking up on 100.
Probably. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. There are native accounts. We'll go through them. The reason I bring this up is because there are some BC cryptozoologists who are trying to revive the search for the Cadborosaurus. We'll get to that at the end of my segment. But to begin with, let's head over to the Wikipedia page for those of you who don't know about Cadborosaurus. It was nicknamed Caddy, of course, by journalist Archie Wills. It's a sea serpent from those areas I mentioned. The description: Cadborosaurus willsii is said by wet witnesses to resemble a serpent with vertical coils or humps in tandem behind the horse-like head and a long neck. We got a classic sea serpent. Shades of Nessie here. Some people have called it the American Nessie, even though it's Canadian.
I just learned the rest of the world calls both Canada and the United States America.
North America. Yeah.
well, I mean, we do call it America. We call the entire continent America. Actually,
Anyway.
we call this entire hemisphere America. What the fuck am
Damn
I
straight.
talking about?
And someday
America.
the world. It has a pair of small elevating front flippers and either a pair of hind flippers or a pair of large webbed hind flippers fused to form a large fan-like tail region like a seal or a sea lion.
Sure.
Dr. Paul LeBlanc, director of Earth and Ocean Sciences at UBC, that's the University of British Columbia, almost went there, and Dr. Edward...
I got drunk there a lot.
Nice.
I was not attending.
If I'd have known that they were the foremost researchers of Cadborosaurus studies, I would have tried a little harder. Dr. Edward Blousfield, retired chief zoologist of the Canadian Museum of Nature, state every elongated animal has been put forward as an explanation for Caddy. These animals include conger eels.
Yeah.
You guys know the conger eel?
That's my theory for all of these massive conger eels that are growing
which is also
explicitly.
pretty spooky.
Yeah, it's its own scary thing.
Humpback whales, elephant seals, ribbon or oarfish, basking sharks, and sea lions. LeBlanc and Blousfield state no known creature matches the characteristics found in over 200 sightings collected over a century, noting that Caddy is described as having flippers both anteriorly and posteriorly, so that's flippers on its ass. Darren Nash contends that LeBlanc and Blausfield are engaging in bad science and have incorrectly assumed that different conflicting eyewitness reports are all descriptions of one species when various accounts are most parsimoniously interpreted as descriptions of many things. He's saying, according to Occam's razor, the most simple answer is the correct one. These people are seeing different animals and saying it's the same thing. So let's talk about some sightings and some First Nations accounts.
I like it.
First Nations accounts. A native image that fits Caddy's description has been traditionally used throughout Alaska. The image indicates that Caddy, or a caddy-like creature, moves north to Vancouver when the water's warm. The Inuit of Alaska have even put the picture on their canoes to keep the creature away.
Doesn't like itself?
The Cadborosaurus is called Hiitlik by the Manhusat people who live on Sydney Inlet, Chanko in Secelt mythology, and Numxalikwala by the Comox band of Vancouver Island. However, it has also been argued that these native stories reflect a diversity of different animals, some mythical, some real. They just lump them into the Cadborosaurus category to kind of explain everything. But that seems, I don't know. That seems like a reach in the other direction. Like they got a monster. They got a monster they draw all the time. Don't take that away.
Yeah, let them have that and maybe figure out what it is.
That's the guy, son. Sightings. There have been more than 300 claimed sightings during the past 200 years.
Oh my.
Including Deep Cove in Saanich Inlet and Island View Beach, both of which are also on the Saanich Peninsula and the San Francisco Bay, and at San Francisco Bay, California.
Really?
Yeah. I remember seeing that one.
A long. I mean, that makes sense actually. It's like whales and dolphins make those trips.
It's the West Coast. If there were more than one of them or a breeding population, it would stand to reason that you might see one outside of the known range once in a while. That being said, I know the story they're talking about the two brothers who saw the serpent in San Francisco Bay. I don't know that we're talking about the same creature. I don't even know if that's an entirely credible report, but I do remember the video of them is very funny. They're talking about, and it brought its head right up and it went. The guy does an impression. It's very funny. Anyway, okay. Carcasses associated with Cadborosaurus. That's right. We got some globsters.
Hell yeah.
1930, they found a skeleton near Valdez in the ice. The skeleton was 24 feet long with flippers. Some of the remains were preserved at Cordova for scientific study. The creature is thought to be a whale. I should also get out in front of this and just say most of these, what they call globsters, these rotted corpses, whales. The answer is whales.
Yeah.
Or basking shark.
I'm still gonna say the wrong word, but degraded seal carcass, or not seal, whale carcasses and whatnot.
There was another one in 1934 that they think was a basking shark. Another one in 1937 that they think was a baleen whale. In 1941, a carcass they called Sarah the Sea Hag was found on Kitsilano Beach, Washington.
She was just not well liked.
Yeah.
Went for a swim and no one would save her.
Terrible. All of these have alternative descriptions: elephant seals, basking sharks. They call them globsters as kind of a catch-all term. It's just a really decomposed corpse of a marine animal that washes up on the shore. People see it, they're like, what the fuck is that? It's a monster. Call the newspaper. There was a purported live capture in 1968. In August of 1968. There's actually two, dude. In August of 1968, W. Hageland claims to have caught a baby caddy near DeCourcy Island, only to return it to the water. This motherfucker catch and released this shit.
Good for him. That's the proper way, but maybe take a few photos of that.
Yeah. Picture.
Well,
you got
68.
pictures.
He might not be bringing his camera equipment on the sea.
Okay, well, let's fast forward to 1991. July of 1991, on Johns Island, Phyllis Harsh claims to have caught a small 2-foot-long baby caddy and returned it to the water.
That's crazy. That's
Isn't that
some
fucking
growth,
wild?
baby. How long do they get? Like 20 feet?
Yeah, I think they said 40, 45 foot.
Dude, that's a
Oh
baby.
yeah, that's a little guy.
The mom's not going to accept that again. You touched it.
You think he was a cutie pie?
I do.
You think he was a terrifying serpent of the deep?
I think it was a Slimo.
You think it was a wriggling, horrible,
Like a tadpole of the Cadbury.
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Cadbury.
Cadborosaurus.
Yeah.
They bring eggs at Easter. Okay, so that brings us to a recent newspaper article from the Coast Mountain News that says BC cryptozoologists still looking for sightings of fabled sea serpent. Cadborosaurus enthusiasts is asking people to keep their eyes peeled while on the water this summer. So if you're out in the bay, if you're in the Vancouver area, keep your eyes peeled, you know? We're looking for Cadborosaurus, Caddy. Group of Vancouver Island cryptid enthusiasts looking to prove the existence of a mythical sea creature, asking people to keep their eyes peeled on the water this summer. This is Jason Walton, the president of Victoria-based British Columbia Scientific Cryptozoology Club, said recorded sightings of the Cadborosaurus, or Caddy, go back to the 1930s, but tales of sea serpents in the waters of the Pacific Northwest go back hundreds of years. He says sea captains had put in their logbooks when they saw the Cadborosaurus, and they would not lie in a logbook, especially when there are 100 sailors on board, said Walton. The pictures, dating back to the 1700s, have bodies and forms and movements that are very, very similar to what people report from time to time today. And these are drawings in newspapers, drawings from supposed witnesses, stuff like that. In the 1990s, Walton said Caddy sightings were booming. However, they have since waned, but they still hear about 10 sightings every year. It's still pretty good.
That's
really.
A shit ton.
That's quite a few, yeah.
That's up there with Loch Ness Monster numbers. How many Loch Ness Monster sightings have there been this year?
Not enough. Not enough.
Fair.
They've set up cameras on the shore. They claim to have caught some things that they think are sightings of the Cadborosaurus, but pretty easily explained as boat wakes or just strange waves. He described the Cadborosaurus as 20 to 30 feet long with a serpentine-like body, and when its body comes out of the water, it looks like half a tire sticking out of the water. Okay. In sightings of these Cadborosauruses, they move so fast, and they have a neck and head that is sometimes described like a camel. They have a big bullet-like head, and they're usually very fast and brief sightings, he said. People that have seen it say, I have never seen anything like that in my life. They've lived out on the water and are very accustomed to all the marine life out here, but one description they will give is that it's prehistoric. While the weather warms up and more people are spending time on the ocean, Walton asks swimmers, sailors, and seafarers to be vigilant and to report possible Caddy sightings. So stay vigilant out there, fellas. What do you think? Cadborosaurus, is it out there?
I'm a fan of all of these sea serpents, and as we all know, I'm a proponent of them being massive conger eels.
Eels, the dancing eel of the Congo.
I've seen pictures of conger eels doing the Loch Ness monster move, barely peeking up, and like 6-foot ones. So I'm out there saying maybe there's a 20-foot one in some areas, and like you see that, that's a sea serpent. But they don't have those fins. That's the thing. True. They don't have front and back fins. An eel has like one little mohawk fin all the way down.
Yeah, an eel is all fin.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, an eel's just one massive fin with a face.
What do you think, Nate?
I'm thinking I want to say prehistoric monster that has persisted to this day.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
I think it's around.
I'm gonna go with gargantuan undiscovered pinniped. I think we're talking about an enormous North American relative of a manatee or a dugong.
How do you spell pinniped? Sorry.
Piniped. I think it means fused foot or something. And I'm imagining a very large, like 30-foot long, athletic, svelte manatee that like zooms around the water, sleeps on the bottom. This explains its camel-like head.
Yeah.
Very shy, very reclusive, not a lot of them. I'm going massive manatee.
I could see that too, man. That's very believable.
And if it was built to be like, I mean, seals are so fast.
Dude, seals are insanely fast.
It's the camel head, it's the speed, it's the front flippers and the fused back tail. And it's the fact that the people describing it say that they've never seen anything like that makes me think that it is some kind of animal, like not just a big elephant seal, but like
it's like a long manatee.
New. Yes, a long boy.
I'm a believer in the long boy theory. You won me a little bit there.
Long boy theory gets them every time. That does it for my segment that I'm calling long boy theory. Cadborosaurus, keep your eyes peeled, Canadians. And you know what? Send us the picture. We want to break it. We'll give you full credit.
We'll give you credit, but we're going to take the press credit.
Look, we have familiarity with these matters. We can deal with the press for you. Not everybody wants to be public facing.
Mm-hmm. We'll be the camel-faced serpent that actually knows how to deal with the press.
Exactly. I've been called a camel-faced serpent all my life. I never stop serving.
It's destiny. I'll go.
Do it.
Seconch.
Caddy.
Seconch shell skull. Give me the conch skull.
Yep.
And I shall speak into it.
Well,
and tell you all about the legend of the Mona. AKA the witch, or the witch monkey, or the dwarf witch.
Whoa.
Glorf witch.
No, dwarf
witch.
Oh.
But Glorf witch works too.
No, Glorf witch is a World of Warcraft monster.
This is a character from Central American legend of the Chorotega origin. According to this legend, the monkeys were witches who, through ancestral indigenous prayers, had shed their skin and grew their hair with lengthened hands and feet, transforming into a being similar to a large, monstrous monkey. These monkeys could move at great speed through the trees. They did this amidst chilling laughter and terrifying screams that froze the blood of their victims, leaving them stunned or speechless for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that would do that to me.
For the rest of your life, you're speechless?
I just keep pointing at where it came from and going,
The Wikipedia here launches directly into ways to get rid of it. The only way to get rid of one of these monas, the victim has to master their fear, say a Christian prayer against it, stick a cross into the ground, which in this case, the cross is a machete in the shape of a cross.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Badass. Throw a handful of corn or mustard seeds or salt, and then throw a hat upside down, thus making the Mona stay up all night collecting the grains withat letting go until they've repented of his spells and swear never to bother anyone in the region ever again.
Oh.
Shades of like stopping a vampire in the ancient world here. There's 10 things you have to do, and they all make no sense when you put them together, but...
Don't question the method.
The myth of the witch who transforms into a monkey has other names, the most common being Mica Brujo, popular in Guatemala or El Salvador. In Nicaragua, legends of witches who transform into witch monkeys. Blind women and pigs or chanchas are very common. Oh, right. They also can transform into pigs.
Sure, pig lady.
Blind women. Yeah. The monkeys usually scorned women who transform themselves to go in search of the men who abandoned them. Legend has it that the women go to the chilamate tree, take one of its flowers that sprouts exactly at midnight and say the spell to transform themselves.
Whoa.
The old women in small towns advised men to go out with their underwear inside out to scare them away.
Oh, that would scare me off.
Yeah, another
be like, no, thank you. I'm going inside.
Inside out undies? What kind of freak is this guy?
more inside out clothing in relation to a scary mythical beast, though.
Yeah, echoes of Fae mythology.
Yeah. In Costa Rica, the term Mona alone is more common on the Pacific coast. In the provinces of Guanacaste and Punta Arenas, Punta Arenas
is what it is.
Yeah, Punta Arenas.
I'm reading this all backwards. I have dyslexia now. I got cursed.
No, Nate.
I'm opening up this article. Since in some versions more rooted in the Central Valley, it's called La Chancha, which is more of the pig or tapir version. And in addition, there's a legend of another similar specter, the Micomalo, which, however, is not supposed to be a witch in the form of a monkey, but the devil himself in person with the appearance of a horrible monkey. And then I wanted to jump over to this other article.
Jump, hop, skip.
Because, I found a slightly better thing. This is from a witch herself named Kate Crowley on a WordPress thing. She's, I guess, she seems to be part of some sort of like language exchange program.
Oh, nice.
And so she was going to go to this area to meet her or live with her counterpart. I'm not 100% sure what their deal is. Anyway, she's going to meet her counterpart at Birria I believe in Nicaragua. She was like, I just found out that Birria has more than just the parks that my people told me about in the language packet. It has a high per capita number of brujas.
Wow. Okay.
So that implies that like per 100 people, there's like 30 brujas just running around.
Sure.
She goes on to say the sister pueblos of Diria and Diriomo both straddle the Carretera. Diria to the north and Diriomo to the south, more or less, that is, after living in Diria for a year. Sometimes a coin flip is still as good as my guess when it comes to deciding what comarcas you belong to which municipalities. However, both pueblos are named after Diriagen, an indomitable leader of the Nahuatl people. Despite being overwhelmingly Catholic, the area retains a strong connection to pre-Columbian traditions and beliefs. At times, the references to the old beliefs are tongue-in-cheek. Each pueblo has at least one bar with a Bruja-related name.
Nice.
But more often than not, I know, I would definitely drink it like La Borracho Brujo or Brujo Borracho.
I forgot how to say wet, but I was trying to make the Wet Witch as a cool bar name.
I went with the Drunk Wizard.
Nice, also good.
But more often than not, people in these pueblos are unironic in their beliefs. While I've never heard of a witch walking the streets hawking her potions or seen a front door sign saying, "Ay maldiciones," I've heard many second and third hand stories of witches. Most prevalent belief I discovered is that of the Micas, because the witches that have the power, which I said to turn into animals, they turn into monkeys in order to take surprise revenge on their enemies.
Surprise, motherfucker!
I would be so surprised if a monkey jumped into my room, threw a soft fruit that splattered on my face, and then went, surprise!
Honestly, so I would be surprised if a person did that. If a monkey did it, I'd be like, yeah.
That's what monkeys do.
Look, okay, I left the window open. You caught me slipping. Now I got papaya all over the place. Good game.
Good game, fellow ape.
Fellow ape, and then he gives you like a little, fellow simian is better.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Thumbs up.
Little
we both have opposables.
Back off into the jungle. Keep your head up. This won't happen.
In some versions of the legend, Micas are usually taking revenge on their ex-lovers. Who's going to expect the innocent-looking monkey to be his ex-girlfriend? Joke's on you, senor. She never liked that mustache anyway.
Dang.
Bingo. Pre-Columbian legends of the Nahuatl people describe shamans with the powers to turn into different animals, sometimes with sinister motives. The arrival of Europeans in Mesoamerica brought the concept of medieval witches, and the blending of the legends produced the female Micas known today around Central America. And then, this is not necessary to the story, but she does go on to say, I've always been fascinated by the subtle ways misogyny makes itself known in culture, and witches are a dramatic example. I find it quite interesting that before European arrival, the idea of magical people doing sinister deeds was not gendered. It is true. There's brujos and brujas. In fact, the scariest brujos we know about, making their kombuchas in that cave, are all dudes.
Dr. Joe Jack was a dude.
Yep. Something to remember when we think about everyday instances of misogyny here in Nicaragua and get tempted to stereotype culture. And this is also just kind of fun. Halfway through my service, I have unfortunately not learned to cast any curses, which is quite a disappointment as someone who always aspired to be Hermione Granger. But she did go to a witch's house once.
Really?
Yeah, and the witch had a lot of animals, but that makes sense because she probably lived on a farm. But that brings us to our main story, which is that this is from late July, just the other day, really, the 22nd.
Oh.
Residents of a neighborhood in Diriamba claim that a witch monkey walks around the roofs of their homes.
Cool. I'm going to start claiming that. Why were you late today, Jordan? Look.
Witch monkey on the roof.
Witch monkey, you know why. We got witch monkeys.
Some residents of the Roberto Clemente neighborhood, and if you're thinking, is that named after the baseball player? Yes, it is.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely.
Incredible move.
I had to look it up. I was like, oh, no shit. Okay. In the city of Diriamba, in the department of Carazo, are alarmed after the alleged appearance of a witch monkey that has them terrified. According to these residents, the alleged witch monkey runs across the roofs of some of the houses of this neighborhood. Its most characteristic features are its body covered in hair, its short height and red eyes, but it also has a chilling scream.
Oh, the red eyes. That doesn't happen with non-evil animals.
No. Well, I mean, it does because eye shine tends to be red.
But yeah, but those animals are evil.
It does. That's if they're baked on weed.
Then there is some video. One frightened resident who opted not to reveal his face for a TV station reporting on the situation recounted hearing the Mona Bruja tapping on the wall of his home before suddenly running across the roof. That's paranormal, the man marveled, claiming to have caught a glimpse of it as it was fleeing the scene.
That's pretty spooky to be
The witness went on to indicate that people living in the neighborhood attempted to capture the unsettling interloper, but lamented that the Mona Bruja is seemingly aware of their scheme and refuses to manifest when one is waiting for her.
You can't catch a witch monkey. It knows everything you're about to do. It can see through walls.
Very. We have that little bit of it running across the roof. They did get some of it on tape.
Yes, I'm bringing it up right now.
Yep, it's a super quick thing. It's just a.
Okay, so here's the thing. It would be terrifying if right now somebody tapped on my window and then I heard running across the roof. Like that in and of itself is a very frightening experience.
That's a Faye joke right there, you know.
A Faye trap, absolutely. Okay, I'm ready. Can you play it? Mona Bruja.
Whoa. That's your witch monkey.
One more time for the kids in the back.
So what you're hearing, for those of you who aren't watching, is the sound of footsteps being recorded running across a corrugated tin roof. These guys are in there with a microphone, and it seems like they're confronting whatever this entity is, and then they hear running on the roof. And
one more time.
Pretty fucking heavy.
It sounds like it's stomping. Like it does.
It sounds pretty heavy up there.
And they are big, is the thing. I mean,
it's like a weremonkey, right?
Yeah. They're transforming into a monkey, but it's not a little howler. It's like
it's not changing size. It's now like a 6-foot howler with a red belly.
Yeah, this is motherfucking Mono Bruja.
Lest one think the case in Diriamba is an isolated incident, a similar suspected incursion by the monkey witch in Nicaragua reportedly occurred in 2021 when people in the city of Granada were certain that the entity was in their midst due to sizable stones that were mysteriously being thrown onto the roofs of their homes. Much like this more recent event, witnesses claim to have encountered the Mona Bruja, and a general hysteria erupted in the community, with a posse forming to put a stop to the magical mischief. However, this is really fun. When the witch was eventually caught, the entity turned out simply to be a young man causing trouble.
It always fucking is.
Well, we have hopes on this one. This is a new one.
We know it's always teens.
It's worth noting that in the current Mona Bruja situation, there is, because the police are refusing to do anything about it.
Of course, what can they do? What could they possibly do?
I mean,
first of all, there's no laws against it.
There's no laws against turning into a monkey at this juncture.
Of course, there's laws against running across people's roofs,
but not when you're a witch.
Technically not for animals. So yeah, if you're a monkey person, I mean, where does the monkey end and the person begin?
Sure, I love the idea of somebody catching one of these things, and they're like, "What law am I breaking? What law am I breaking?"
Goes all the way to the Mexican Supreme Court.
Fuck, that would rock. Talk about a monkey trial, right?
Yeah. Bringing back Scopes. The missing link.
I almost went with Snopes.
The Snopes trial.
Snopes monkey trial never happened.
And Snopes will tell you that.
Yep.
So they have brought in an evangelical pastor who is doing his best to fight against the evil spirit terrorizing the residents of the Roberto Clemente neighborhood.
How's he doing? Good so far?
We'll find out, I guess. It's I'm guessing, since we haven't heard an update about a witch monkey being caught or a person being transformed back into a person. And then, what happens if you do get caught as a witch? There's probably still laws on the book.
I mean, unfortunately, I think once you get caught as a witch, the laws are the mob rule,
Yeah.
We see if you can float, because witches float.
Witches float. And what do you burn apart from witches? More witches.
The Mona there. It's out there. Or I guess she's out there, I suppose. Maybe they're out there. I don't know.
I think there's a breeding population of monkey witches in Nicaragua.
It would make sense. TBQH.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be a breeding population. It would just be like 2 or 3 people who know how to monkey up.
It's not a lineage, a clan.
Girls, monkey up! And then they all transform into monkeys.
I would watch that cartoon show.
So that's that segment, which I guess is Who's the Boss? Mona.
Mona's the boss.
Very oblique reference to the 80s sitcom Who's the Boss?
Hell yeah. Loved it.
Well, pass me the skull. It's time to read some correspondence.
Hell yeah.
Love correspondence.
Last week, on my segment, started off the episode, we talked about the Philadelphia experiment, the little bit of the ins and outs, the long and short of it. If you need to be caught up again, just listen to last week's episode. I will not repeat myself.
Can I quickly throw a piece of esoteric information that I learned about the Philadelphia experiment?
Just with that esoterica.
So, remember that guy, Phil Schneider from Dulce Base?
Yep. I'm very familiar with Phil Schneider.
Lost a couple fingers.
He got cut in the whole chest area, spilling guts supposedly, and had like 4 fingers chopped off from a laser.
Dang, dude.
While Marines were fighting the aliens in Dulce.
Yeah, that's right. They came in through the ground. They came in through the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, his father was a Operation Paperclip engineer who was later consulted as to what happened at the Philadelphia experiment.
All right.
After he was he was a Nazi, but they brought him over.
All right.
They brought him over and they were like, "We're going to show you some top secret crazy shit. What do you think happened here?" That's went wrong.
Interesting.
Well, touching on that little side, what went wrong was that the U.S. military tried to make a battleship invisible.
Yeah.
It was the USS Eldridge, and in theory, what happened is it was transported to, I do believe, Norfolk, Virginia, was seen by the crew of the SS Andrew Forsyth before it was then transported back to Philadelphia Harbor. Crew were frozen in time. Crew were grafted to the walls, the metal walls, still alive and in pain.
People remember. Yeah.
A lot of
weird shit went down.
Yeah. On top of that, we have a couple characters. We have Morris K. Jessup, who wrote a book called "The Case for the UFO Unidentified Flying Objects," and a Carl Allen, who wrote to Dr. Jessup, specifically sending Jessup's book back to them with strange notes in the margin written by, in theory, 3 different people with 3 different inks. One of them, the only name in the notes of a person writing the notes in that book, was one called Jemmy, or Jemi. Jimmy. So these correspondence is between a Dr. Jessup and Carlos Miguel Allende was kind of the driving force of how we know a lot of this. It fascinated the world. They're published. I'm on a website called de173.com/Carl Allen. It is the website of an Andrew H. Let's go into the actual letters, which I am so fascinated about. So, and this will probably be part 2 of 3. I got a little bit more. We'll wrap up with just one little letter, and then I'll send a link in the description, I think, of the YouTube, so you can read all of it and see, and I'll show some of the pictures, but there's a lot to these letters, and I'm happy that I could actually find them. I was worried for a moment, but this seems to be weirdly, this de173.com website is weirdly the only one who shows all of this, transcribes it, and is trying to do somewhat of a proper journalistic thing with the letters. Sure. Take it with a grain of salt, of course. So this contains all known letters Carlos Miguel Allende, a.k.a. Carl Allen, wrote to Morris K. Jessup. All words, uppercase letters, underlining, and spelling appear in his letters. It has been said that there was one letter before these. However, it has never been found. So the first letter starts as such. My dear Dr. Jessup, your invocation to the public that they move en masse upon their representatives and have thusly enough pressure placed at the right and sufficient number of places where from a law demanding research into Dr. Albert Einstein's unified field theory may be enacted is not at all necessary. That's right. Albert Einstein was part of this as well. His research in the field of relativity, specifically unified field theory, which is a thing in theory, there is one kind of formula that can explain the creation and universe as is. All forces kind of boil down into one field.
The grand unified theorem.
Yes. It may interest you to know that the good doctor was not so much influenced in his retraction of that work by mathematics as he most assuredly was by humantics.
Humantics. It's like antics that a human's doing.
Yeah.
Dr. B. Russell asserts privately that it is complete. He also says that man is not ready for it and shan't be ready until after World War III.
Oh boy.
Never.
I don't want to do that.
Can you just tell us now when we can decide?
Yeah.
Nevertheless, results of my friend Dr. Franklin Reno were used. They were a complete recheck of that theory and with a view to any and every possible quick use of it, if feasible in a very short time. This is very, I feel, 1940s, 50 dialogue and like grammar. This is not how we speak or write letters today. Unless I'm not writing letters. Should I write all letters like this?
Yeah, I think you should spend a year writing letters like that just to get in this guy's head.
Yeah, just freak him out a little bit.
The result, and the result is capitalized, was and stands today as proof that the unified field theory to a certain extent is correct. Beyond that certain extent, no person in his right senses or having any senses at all will evermore dare to go. It goes on kind of like this, but long story short, it's kind of like opening Pandora's box. Like we have the technology to do things that can advance human civilization, both positively and negatively, thousands of years in the future to both success and destruction. And now, all right. The result was complete invisibility of a ship, destroyer type, and all of its crew. While at sea in 1943, so excuse my earlier sentence, this was conducted before or during proper atom bomb testing.
Yeah. At the same time as I think Trinity was going on.
Yeah, the height of Einstein mania. Remember when Americans were doing the Einstein?
From coast to coast, teens are doing a dance called the Einstein. It's all in front of a blackboard as they like draw different
overall, you just draw theorems. E equals MC squared.
Right. At the end
but
of the
if you know a little bit more of his theories, you can get really loosey-goosey with it.
The Watusi theorem.
So while at sea, the field was effective in an oblate spheroidal shape. Extending 100 yards more or less due to lunar position and latitude.
Okay.
Out from each beam of the ship. Any person within that sphere became vague in form, but he too observed those persons aboard that ship as though they were of the same state. So if you were in the field, you were the same state.
Okay, so everything within that spherical area.
Yeah, exactly. The 1940s way of saying everything in the sphere did the same.
Yeah, everything's fucked.
Yeah, any person without that sphere could see nothing save the clear defined shape of the ship's hole in the water.
Weird. Oh, I see. It was like there was a ship sitting there that nobody could see.
Yeah,
like it had the divot in the water and then nothing.
Crazy. That must look crazy.
I have no picture, or else I would fucking show it to you.
Yeah.
Providing, and anything I say with an emphasis is a all caps word. Providing, of course, that the person was just close enough to see, yet just barely outside of that field. Why tell you now? Very simple. If you choose to go mad, then you would reveal this information. Half of the officers and the crew of the ship are at present mad as hatters.
Oh.
A very few are even yet confined to certain areas where they may receive trained scientific aid when they either go blank or go blank and get stuck.
Huh.
Stuck,
huh?
Yes. Going blank is not at all an unpleasant experience to healthily curious sailors.
Oh.
Sure. Ego death, man.
Sure. Sounds kind of dope.
Through ego death through invisibility.
To be fair, that is something that I could say sailors are good at, man. There's no ego when it comes to a sailor. They all go, no, Poseidon's real, and he will take your life if you fuck up.
Yeah.
Very realistic people, sailors, and then sometimes not so much, you know. However, it is also However, it is when also they get stuck that they call it Hell Incorporated. The man thusly stricken cannot move on his own volition unless two or more of those who are within the field go and touch him. Quickly,
that's
else he freezes. So more insanity that we didn't even truly know about, like a reoccurring sickness of these soldiers.
But two people can touch them like they're
if they were in the field.
Okay, but they're like almost like a positive and a negative like loop.
I think that's a good way of thinking about that. Yeah.
Interesting.
To evaporate the energy that's holding them down or whatever.
I am not at all knowledgeable enough of the forces of the universe, but I'm going to say I think we're on to a layman's concept. If a
Definitely lame.
If a man freezes, his position must be marked out carefully, and then the field is cut off. Everyone but that frozen man is able to move to appreciate apparent solidity again.
Interesting.
Then the newest member of the crew must approach the spot. This seems like hazing right now.
Truly.
Go stand in the spot where Kennedy got shot. I dare you. I dare you.
And then they're just
right there.
We all did it.
Yeah, we all did it. And Jordan was up in the tower shooting us with BBs.
Yep.
That'd be a fun prank, although very illegal.
That'd be very fun. It'd be fun to do to you guys.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do to a friend who cares a lot about JFK's head. Just doing that. I don't believe there was an assassination.
I imagine it's very hard to even take a BB gun into that building.
Sure. Can I go up to the floor in question? I'm doing a prank.
You can watch me do the prank. It'll be fun.
Would you like to be part of the prank?
So where the newest member of the crew let's go back. Then the newest member of the crew must approach the spot where the frozen man originally was, where he will find the frozen man's face or bare skin that is not covered by usual uniform clothing. Sometimes it takes only an hour or so, sometimes all night and all day long, or worse, it once took 6 months to get a man unfrozen. This deep freeze was not psychological. It was the result of a hyperfield that is set up within the field of the body, while the scorch field is turned on, and this at length or upon an old hand.
Wow.
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah. Yeah, that's weird. Honestly, getting frozen sounds kind of nice, though, huh?
It says that where was it? Which one was the good one?
I think it was that.
No, the frozen one. The Get Stuck was Hell Incorporated.
Oh,
yes. I think where is it? It doesn't matter, but there's a different type of effect that was not so bad if you're an open-minded sailor willing to get your dick wet, if you will.
Yeah, the one where you become part of the ship and feel all of its emotions.
That one might also be Hell Incorporated, but a subsidiary. This is a quote from an unquoted person.
Okay.
I speak of time for deep frozen men are not aware of time as we know it. Huh. They are like semi-comatose persons who live, breathe, look, feel, but are still unaware of so utterly many things as to constitute a netherworld to them. So kind of like a step out of almost one step into the Fey realm, since we keep using that this episode, like one step into the other side, but your body's still here.
Right.
A man in an ordinary common freeze is aware of time, sometimes acutely so. Yet they are never aware of time precisely as you or I are aware of it.
Crazy.
The first deep freeze, I said, took 6 months to rectify. This is out of the quote. The quotations in this are insane, by the way. Have fun with the link when I send it to you all. It also took over $5 million in old-time money worth of electronic equipment and a special ship berth. Berth.
Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like it would have to be hidden away somewhere.
If around or near the Philadelphia Navy Yard, you see a group of sailors in the act of putting their hands upon a fella or upon thin air.
Whoa.
Observe the digits and appendages of the stricken man.
It's not just a promise keeper being welcomed into the fold.
This time.
If they seem to waver as though within a heat mirage, go quickly and put your hands upon him. For that man is the very most desperate of men in the world.
Wow. Crazy.
Not one of those men ever want at all to become invisible again.
This is wild. I've never heard any of this.
I know. Great. When I found it properly, I was all like, oh, thank God, because I don't really have a solid part 2, but this one, this got me there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's almost like I'm a Warhammer 40K fan, but this is like where they pass, to where navigators kind of risk their minds and bodies entering whatever the hyperspace is.
The warp,
thank you.
Yeah.
Where am I? Put your hands on them, do a little dance, make sure they're okay. No one wants to be invisible.
Nobody wants to be invisible. It just happens. Nobody chooses to be invisible.
Here's some phrases that men that experience this use: caught in the flow, or caught in the push, stuck in the green, stuck in molasses.
Whoa.
I was going fast.
The green, huh?
Caught in the flow describes exactly the stuck in molasses sensation of a man going into a deep freeze or pain freeze. That's the Hell Incorporated.
Oh.
Caught in the push can either refer to that which a man feels briefly when he is either about to inadvertently go blank. That's the more fun one if you're like a acid-taken sailor who likes to speak with Poseidon.
Right. Who doesn't? I could see him being Pretty terrifying.
There are only a very few of the original experimental DE's crew left by now. This was when the letters were written. Where are you, Wikipedia? That's how I found you through doing the search. I do believe it was in the 60s, maybe late 60s, when these letters were being sent to Jessup.
It sounds about right.
Back in those heady dolphin cranking days.
Yes. I apologize. 1956, specifically this letter I'm reading, January 13th.
We were barely at jerking off armadillos at that point.
Dude, science has come so long. And hard.
Just like those dolphins.
By the way, everybody, check out the grave nuggets. 2 of them, man.
Yeah.
So most of these people went insane, as I'm sure I would, having this is very Cthulhian, seeing something that you're not supposed to see, and how do you take that shit?
Saw too much.
Our minds are meant to protect us from what we don't understand in this reality. I don't want to throw another reality in there.
Mm-hmm. It's almost literally the plot to Event Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Great film, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So most went insane. One just walked through his quarters while in sight of his wife and child and 2 other crew members, never seen again. Just walked through the wall.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Stuck in the wall. That would be
he said he was going for.
What happened to Dad, Mom?
What happened to Father? Where are his ciggies?
2 sailors went into the flame.
Oof.
That sounds horrifying.
I.e., they froze and caught fire.
Huh.
They were also carrying common small boat.
Caught fire? Terrifying.
Yep, they froze, and this is called going into the flame, or went into the flame, past tense. They froze and caught fire while carrying common small boat compasses.
Huh.
Compasses, I think magnetic energies. If you carry a compass, you get different random effects.
Huh.
From what I'm putting together on this lovely but insanely written letter. One man carried a compass and caught fire. No freezing. The other came for the laying of the hands, as he was the nearest, but he too took fire. They burned for 18 days.
Oh, no.
Terrifying.
The letter then goes to tell Dr. Jessup. Sorry, I don't mean to remove your studies.
Oh, he might go by Mr. Doctor.
Mr. Doctor. Check Philadelphia papers for a tiny 1-paragraph upper half of sheet inside the paper near the rear third of the paper. There's better ways to tell people where it is in the paper, but I think we can suss that out.
Yeah.
1944 through 1946 in spring or fall or winter. That's right, spring or fall or winter, but definitely not summer.
Any of the main ones.
Summer's for partying.
Yeah, that's what it says in the letter. Summer's for partying, not summer.
That's good. That's good.
Of an item describing the sailors' action after their initial voyage. They raided a local to the Navy Yard gin mill or beer joint. Raided is a loaded word there, but they apparently drank their sights away.
Yeah.
And caused such shock and paralysis of the waitress that little comprehensibly could be gotten from them, save that paragraph, and the writer of it does not believe it and say, I only wrote what I heard, and them's dames is daffy. 40s was 50s was such a weird time.
Weird stuff out there.
Last paragraph of the original letter, and then I'm gonna put away the skull. Okay. It's kind of getting a little bit sleepy. I don't want it to be too agitated.
Probably getting hot at this point.
Check observer ship crews. Maston Line's Liberty ship out of Norfolk, that's the Virginia site where it teleported to. Company may have ship's logs for that voyage, or Coast Guard have it. And I'm happy to say that part 3 of this will go into some of those ship logs.
Okay.
The SS Andrew Forsyth.
Norfolk?
Huh? Yeah. From the ship I just said, the SS Forsyth. Forsyth. That was the one that saw it, I believe, in Norfolk. Chief Mate Masley. We'll secure captain's name later. I do have that as well, but that's for next time.
That was in 1984, right?
No. This is all in the original one. The original experiment is where this is all from. Your 1943 in October.
All right.
Yeah, that's why I did this as that, to realize there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings of the Philadelphia experiment, and we're just going to suss these out in a hopefully entertaining and fun way. I've been laughing. I probably shouldn't have been because of the horror, but
that's all right. You did okay.
One crew member, Richard Price, or Spicely Price, as his friends called him, may remember other names of deck crewmen. So he's making a paper trail that is very easy to follow, I'm proud to say. Mr. Price was 18 or 19 then in October of 1943, and lived at the time in his old family home in, you're going to love it, Roanoke, Virginia.
Okay. Amazing.
These men were witnesses, men of this crew. Connolly of New England.
Connolly.
Then comma, and in parentheses, Boston?
Yeah.
Sure.
With a question mark?
Yeah.
Great.
May have witnessed, but I doubt it. Did witness this. I asked you to do this bit of research simply that you may choke on your tongue when you remember that you have appealed by made law. Very disrespectfully yours, Carl M. Allen.
Okay. No love lost there.
It is my favorite ending of a fucking letter I've read in some fucking time.
Truly.
I'm happy I found these. I hope this website is somewhat caring to be reputable and literally just found these and didn't edit them. But I'm a fan. I have pictures of it. It is on this. Here is, before we go, let me just show you what all this was transcribed from. Here are the torn pages of the letter.
Oh yeah, no, this looks insane.
I love everything about this type of kind of mythology,
unhinged.
this history. Yeah, the unhingedness of the field that we talk about. Support this site if you want. I don't think you should yet. We'll talk more about it next time. But that's my segment. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to name this very disrespectfully yours, Werewolf Radar.
Folks, that does it for another episode of Werewolf Radar. Thank you so much for your continued support of the show. We love you guys. If you are just joining us and you liked what we did here today, you can go over to Patreon and you too can become a Dark Council member, and you can help us boot up the radar every week. You can also come hang out with us in the Zoom room if you want to hang and see how the sausage is made. Spoiler alert, a lot of sage in the sausages. We go with those hot sagey rings. You can check us out on Instagram. You can check us out on freaking Twitter. You can check us out on werewolfradar.com, Facebook. We're friggin' everywhere.
YouTube for the video.
From Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. And shout out to you, the listener, for rockin' ass. Check us out on Twitch. On Mondays, we play games. No, Wednesdays now.
Well, Mondays still, but Wednesdays for D&D.
Wednesdays as well.
And when Stretcher Man comes out with a co-op mode, we're playing Stretcher Man on Mondays.
Absolutely. Until then, though, we remain dutifully yours. On the count of 3, Please join us in our sign-off line. As always, 1, 2, 3. Punch
the sky!
Spaceman Joe!
And a very big thank you to this month's Patreon subscribers: Nick Bailey, Spooky Appalachia, Phil Corridor, Michael King, Melinda Metz, Janet Bravo, Dylan Gutierrez, Bob Ryan, AWOL51, Tobias Livingston, The Most Well-Prepared Dead Guy, Necro Phil, Marcelo Duran, Major Consequences, Alicia Coy, Cheesebot O'Doom, Amanda, Abby Klaboo, Ryan Flint, Jake Speck, Akirian Soldier, Dean Malik, Dakota Vincent, Brian Ely, Adra Kinkle, Agon and Felix, and our Dark Lord, Spectacular Copper.